So I just completed a 36-hour fast. So it started, today is Thursday, and it basically started Tuesday. So all of Wednesday I didn't eat, and it wasn't like a water fast. It was a dry fast. So 36-hour dry fast. What that means is basically complete abstention from food. When doing a fast, and then abstention from water as well. Now, I've done different types of fasting, intermittent fasting, Ramadan fasting. I've done a 72-hour fast, which is 3 days. And when I got more into fasting, especially after Ramadan, I had regularly, like weekly to bi-weekly, done a 36-hour fast. But, to this extent, I feel like this one was a lot more, you can say, detoxing, right? So the ultimate version of a detox, basically getting rid of toxins from your body, right, is through fasting, right? Complete abstention of food and maybe even water, right? And you're gonna basically get what's called detox symptoms. You're gonna feel some weaknesses or fatigue, right? If you're a person who participates in Ramadan, you'll probably feel that the first couple of days of of the month of Ramadan, you'll probably end up feeling a bit weak and stuff like that, right? You'll feel irritable. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to do anything. And then maybe after that fifth day, maybe third day, depending on how early it comes on, then you will just feel great. Fasting will just feel fine, right? And then Ramadan fasting, it's a version of dry fasting. It's like intermittent dry fasting, right? Because when the sun is up, you don't eat or drink anything, right? And so that's a very detoxing experience. And when it comes to breaking your fast, what you put into your body is as important as the fast, right? If not more important than the fast. If anything, what you put into your body is going to what allows you to yield the benefits of the fast, right? And what allows you to yield the most benefit from a fast is fruit. So at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m., I broke my fast, and I broke it with like a big bowl of grapes, seeded grapes that I got from like this Asian market just yesterday. And now I'm having, it's just blended grapes, black grapes and red grapes. I blended it together, and now I'm kind of sipping on that right now. And it tastes pretty good, and I feel great. I feel great. Like, I feel great. I feel powerful, feel strong and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like that just literally a couple hours ago, right? As I was doing my fast, I felt like weak. I felt depleted. I was tired. And it was just like, it was hard. Just somehow these hours, leading up to this fast, leading up to me breaking my fast, right? Like from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Somehow these felt harder than me not eating for a full 24 hours the day before. And I've done a 3-day fast before, but I was drinking water. So this was a water fast. And if I'm correct, I feel like I felt better on that 3-day fast than I do now. Or than I did, not now, but than I did just a couple hours before with this 36-hour dry fast, because dry fasting is so different. It's so much more astringent, right? Because since you're not consuming anything, your digestive system takes a complete and total break. So it was just interesting to very much experience that. I guess I would say 36 hours is probably the longest I've went without any water content. And when it comes to fasting is it can be a very spiritually, like, liberating thing per se. Now, I didn't spend most of my time in some deep meditative thought. What I did mostly was just kind of do a lot of stuff to occupy my mind, whether that be reading books, reading manga, watching anime, which I did a lot of that. But I feel like next time I go on a fast like this, I'd rather try and abstain from a lot of stimulation per se, so that way I can just focus on my mind, body, and soul connection, right? And but I did get like really good thoughts, a lot of thoughts, just about like God and worship and just like being more connected to who you are, right? And it correlates to some stuff I written down before, when I was at my job, right? So I got this new job. I work in a movie theater, and in between me cleaning theaters, I'd already cleaned out this theater, and I was like, oh, there's something going on. I hope they're doing okay. But I had like been cleaning in between movie theaters, and I was thinking like, man, I haven't meditated in a long time. And so I'm in this empty theater that I just cleaned out. And I'm like, you know what? Why not I meditate? Why not I just sit here for 5 minutes and just focus on my breathing, eyes closed, sitting crisscross. I did open my eyes here and there because I was like nervous that people were gonna come in. Because every little sound I heard, I felt like it was like the door opening or whatever. But I was still able to do it. And then I just kind of had like these like profound thoughts right now. I wasn't fasting. This was just like a regular day. And then I wrote them down. And the thoughts that I was having during my fast, they were very much similar to what I wrote down here. So I'll kind of read it out for you, right? All right. We are all God. God's proper name is we. We are the all. We are the one. We is man. We is God. The Quran refers to God as we often. And I'm pretty sure other texts do. I believe the Hebrew text does it as well. All right. To fear God is to fear man. To fear man is to fear yourself. Why should we be afraid of what we all are? To fear ourselves and our fellow man is what limits true freedom of expression. Fear is what leads us to worship idols. We don't know that the power is within. So we look for it in religion, in idols, and our fellow man. We search outward for a power we all hold within. And I stand by this, basically. I stand by this. And I've always kind of like believed this, but I believe it more so, right? So I believe that we are all God, right? We are all, we are all together in one, but we are so aggressive with each other, and we are so fearful of one another. And you know how people use the term, I'm a God-fearing man. I fear God. The only person I fear is God, right? And we treat God as this outside source or this outside being that sits above in the clouds, separate from us. And I can see how it can lead to fear, because it almost seems like some unknown thing that we're not willing to accept, or that we're trying to accept, or that we're always trying to look good for, basically, right? So it's fear that leads us to think that we are liberated in the religions we occupy ourselves with right now. There's nothing wrong with being a person who is Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, whatever. If you are a believer in a God or some deity or deities, then that's you. But I feel like we go about it the wrong way, to be fearful of those mighty powers that are at hand, right? When in reality, we are also the ones who possess those mighty powers, right? But we don't know that. And honestly, with the way a lot of religions are run, and just a lot of different institutions and what they teach us, we think we have to go for some outside source in order to have peace within us, in order to have freedom and liberation within us. And that's not the case. That's not true, right? When people say you have the power, what do you think they're talking about? They're talking about, basically, they're talking about you having the power. The power, I can't say the power of God in good faith to be like, well, no, the power of God. We all have the power of God, because we are all God. We are God's creation, right? As human beings who walk and live on this earth and have as much intelligence as we do, we are God's pure divine creations, right? And so each of us, right, we have this body, we have what's called a vessel, and this vessel holds our soul, right? It holds our consciousness, and our consciousness is basically an extension of God. So we have this vessel that was made for our consciousness, that was created for us, right? And God makes completely perfect creation. So for us to think stuff like that our bodies are imperfect, for us to think that We have all these troubles and traumas and stuff like that that we can't heal, or that we can't do this, right? When we hold all of these emotions and just troubles in our body and let it fester and ferment, and when we don't take care of ourselves by being physically active or doing some type of physical things, when we put like crap, garbage into our bodies to fuel and to sustain us, right? We are doing that. That's basically doing everything you could possibly do to damage the vessel that holds the extension. Sorry, that holds the extension of God that's within you, right? So it's very important for us to realize these things, right? A lot of us are not conscious enough to do that, right? Our consciousness, these bugs are loud, man. Oh my gosh, what in the world? Our consciousness is very dimmed. So we kind of go about with our thoughts, right? And our thoughts are an amalgamation of things that have happened to us, things that we have experienced, and things that we believe, right? So our thoughts are always, basically, they come from the past, and they almost do nothing but think about what's going to happen, right? They only think about the future, right? So our thinking selves, which aren't our true selves, to be honest, they're never focused on the present, right? What our thoughts are focusing on are the past and the future, and never the present. The only thing that is honestly present in our mind, or not in our mind, but on our body, are our ears, right? I can hear all the sounds and things like that, but my mind is thinking about what I'm going to say next. It's also thinking about other experiences coming from the past that I've experienced, right? So even my mouth, even what I'm saying right now, isn't really truly present. It's not in the present moment. And so we have to be able to realize the present moment, right? And if you're doing something like fasting, right? Fasting, like, focus on the present moment, focus on that day, focus on the hour, right? Focus on the minute. I can get through this for another hour, I can get through this for another day, right? That's for anything hard and difficult, right? That's for anything that gives you complete challenge in this life, right? So it's very, very much important for us to be present as much as we can, right? We have a lot of worries, we have a lot of doubts, we have a lot of fears and stuff like that control our lives, and they don't allow us to focus on what we have right now and what is going on in this exact moment, right? Because in this exact moment, you're here, you're alive, your heart is beating, you're probably, hopefully, well fed. Maybe you're physically active, right? Things like that. You're not in a state to where you're dying. Most people aren't, technically. And so all of that is a blessing. All of that is just something amazing to have, to be currently, presently experiencing. But we'd rather focus on what's going to happen in the future, right? Or what we went through in the past. Now, there's nothing wrong with us, doing stuff now that's going to positively affect our future. That's a great thing, like, as in, okay, how am I going to do my workout tomorrow? Because the workout that you do tomorrow, and the day after that, and the year after that, and the years after that, are going to have a great benefit on your body composition and your health at the same time. What you're going to eat for lunch, or what you're going to eat for dinner, and then thinking about healthy foods or good natural whole foods, right? Things like that. And then doing that for a period of time, right? That is going to allow for you to be better for yourself in the future, right? So we should always be thinking of ourselves in the future, and we can go to the past. We can go to the past to learn our mistakes. That's why we do often think about our past and present, or past and future, sorry. But we also need to just be present. We also need to fit some time to be present. That can be meditative practices. That could be even something like just having a gratitude journal, or if you have a journal, or if you do journal, just, having a gratitude log, writing something you're thankful for. Just looking around you, appreciating what's around me. I'm appreciating the nature. I'm appreciating the sounds of the animals, although they might be speaking louder than me. But I just appreciate where I am right now, and just how I feel, and especially like how I feel after just breaking my fast. I feel amazing. I feel great, right? And it's just, we just have to be able to get through tough times and stuff like that, right? And going back to what I was saying about how we have the power within, right, we have the ability to do so many things on our own, right? People will rely on prayers. They won't do anything, There's a whole thing, oh, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. Or, I'm going to pray to God to get this new car. I'm going to pray to God to get this new job. But then we don't take any proper action that will allow us to be more qualified for the things that we pray for, right? Because this is what I feel like. I pray to God, but I don't pray for God to basically bless me with material things. I pray for God to give me strength and the ability to attain what it is that I want to achieve, right? So that way, in a way, I guess I'm more independent, right? Now, we all, in that way, I'm still depending on God, but I'm allowing myself to basically take more accountability and more responsibility for my own actions instead of just being like, God, I hope you give me a new car, right? I hope you get me to, a new job or something like that. And we don't do anything, right? We don't save the money to get a new car. We don't work hard enough, or we don't make any more, send any more applications to get a new job, right? We just say, God, give me this, God, give me that, right? We don't say, God, allow me to have the strength, allow me to have the courage, allow me to have the power that will allow me to get to where I want to be or what I want to achieve in this life, right? Instead, we ask God for the end goal. We ask God for the end goal. We don't ask God for the process. We don't ask God for the courage. We don't ask God for many things that are within the middle, right? Which again is you're not focused on the present. You're praying to God for something. What's up? It's like we'll pray to God for. What's up? You all right? That's good. We'll pray to God for something that we want to happen instead of something that that we have now, right? Or that we want to achieve, or something that we want to be able to gain, like as in gaining strength and courage and power now, instead of like we're gonna ask God for the end goal. And so it's very important to be present, just to be present, right? And to, again, like I said before, what I wrote down when it comes to being fearful, to fear God again is to also fear man. So there's so much turmoil in this world. There's so much hatred. There's so much just abuse and trauma and just so many dark things happening on with the human race alone, right? There was the genocide in Rwanda. There was, of course, the Holocaust. That's millions of people. And then if just everything else in between, even up to now, just millions, billions of people just dying at the hands of other human beings, right? We're all, honestly, we are all the same, right? We are all brothers and sisters at the end of everything. But we decide to put just so much hatred toward each other because of fear, literally because of fear, right? And fear makes us want to gain more power in a way that puts down others, that we fear, right? That we fear. So when it comes to having freedom as well, we have to be conscious of what it is that we're afraid of, right? Like, I'll give an example. This was something I was thinking about, right? So my African American ancestors, right, or my African ancestors, right, taken from West Africa 700, 800 years ago, and they were enslaved for 400 years, four centuries, right, in a foreign land where they didn't belong whatsoever, and they were wearing rags, they were being beaten, all these horrible things happening to them, right? Just horrible, right? And one thing is like, what kept us in captivity for those 400 years was fear, was complete fear of the owner, of the white man, of the enemy, supposedly the enemy, right? And so we decided to stay captive because, it sounds crazy to say that something like slavery was a choice, right? But when it comes to a long scale of 400 years, right, after, let's say, maybe 100 years, there's new generations of slaves that know the English language, that know English, and they have I guess they know about at least some type of American culture, at least at the time, more than they do about more than they do than their ancestors who came from America, who probably didn't speak any English or anything like that, didn't know anything about the white man, who didn't know anything about American cultures and the ways around and things like that, right? And stuff about the American environment. And so even then, they knew that what was happening to them was wrong, because they knew they were going through pain and suffering and trauma their entire lives, and their kids were going through the same thing, right? But what kept them captive was fear, because at the end of the day, at the end of the centuries, we still got up and fought, right? It might have taken 400 years, but we still got up and fought, and we got our liberation, right? Now, at the end of it, honestly, we're all still slaves, right? You know, there's my black people who are out here chasing materialistic things, chasing men, chasing women, chasing cars, chasing money, clothes, whatever, but just all these just physical things that bring no value. And it's not just us, it's also a lot of Western culture. And to be honest, right, we're even slaves to the food that we eat, right? And you know, oh, I can't go a day without eating, I'll die. You know, oh, how you doing that Ramadan fasting? Aren't you gonna die? Stuff like this, right? And like, oh, I can't go without my pork ribs, I can't go without my chitlins, I can't go without this and that, right? I can't go without my chicken, whatever. And so we will constantly feed ourselves like poison on a day-to-day basis, repeatedly. And I don't know. It's just because we don't know. It's ignorance, honestly. A lot of it is ignorance. Even if you do know the truth, some of us will go right back to the lies that we were being fed, because those were a lot more comfortable. Those were a lot more easier to believe, per se. And it was just, you didn't have to come out of your comfort zone, right? So comfort is the killer of freedom, right? Comfort is the killer of creativity and liberation. And so when we decide to go back to those things that were kind of lies, it's kind of like, you know, let's say you get broken out the Matrix, like how Neo did, and then you want to go back or something like that, right? Because just the reality of everything is so haunting, and it's so, it feels miserable at first. But, you know, freedom comes at a cost, right? Great things don't come easy. And so we want to go back to the easy things because, again, they were easy, they were comfortable, right? We didn't have to go through so much struggle and challenge. So we'll rather decide to stay down than to bring ourselves and others up. And that just leads to more suffering. It just leads to more suffering. It just leads to a whole new generation of people that don't know anything whatsoever, and they just die sooner, you know, like literally, right? We die longer and live shorter lives. Something like, I can't remember how it went, but it's just kind of like, think of like how your health will decline at the age of 50, and then, oh, you know, it's old age this, old age that, whilst there's people who live like up to 140 years without a problem, and they can easily pass on because they had such great health, right? But we don't have access to that information. It's ignorance. It's the same thing with the slaves, right? A lot of them had ignorance towards being able to attain their own freedom, right? But it took years, it took centuries, more centuries of figuring out things and of fighting and escaping and stuff like that, for them to realize that they truly do have the power in order to liberate ourselves. Right now, of course, we had help, right? And that's just how things are. You know, we should be able to receive help from others, right? Even if the color of their skin resembled the color of the people who tormented you, who raped you, who beat you, who did all these things to you, who killed your brothers and sisters, right? At the end of the day, we're all one and the same. We're all people. We're all human beings, right? Who were created under one supreme being, and we all share the power from that one supreme being, right? It's just up to us to realize what it is that we have and what we can do, right? So that's about all I gotta say. But yeah, I feel really great after getting grapes. I'm thinking of just mono eating on grapes, maybe for the day, maybe. But yeah, stay true out there, man. You know, do great things, you know, attain freedom in the way that you know you can do without having to hurt others, and try and bring others up with you, right? Peace out.